Hello again. So in this video, we are going to cover 7.2 addition and subtraction formulas, still on the trigonometry. Okay, so 7.2, addition and subtraction formulas. Okay, also known as the sum and difference formulas. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at those formulas. Okay, so we have one for the sine of u plus v. Okay, and we will have one for, so that's the addition, and we will have one for subtraction. And then we will also have the same thing for cosine u plus v and cosine u minus v. And then we will also have them for tangent u plus v, tangent u minus v. Okay, so let's start with these four, and then we'll do the tangent ones. Okay, so if you have the sine of u plus v, then that's going to be equivalent to the sine of u cosine v plus cosine u sine v. Okay. This one here, if you're doing the sine of u minus v, then that will be equivalent to sine u cosine v minus cosine u sine v. Okay, and then cosine of u plus v will be cosine u times cosine v minus sine u sine v. Okay, and the cosine of u minus v will be cosine u cosine v plus sine u sine v. Okay, so in this section, we're going to be paying more attention to structure instead of doing like what we were doing with verifying. Okay, and let's do the tangent ones. Tangent of u plus v is going to equal tangent u plus tangent v all over 1 minus tangent u tangent v. Okay, and tangent of u minus v will be very similar. Tangent u minus tangent v all over 1 plus tangent u tangent v. Okay. I will try to see if I still have my formula sheet that I would normally have for you guys. I'll see if I have it on file so I can send it to you. That way you have them all on one sheet so that when you take the test, you don't have to kind of scramble around. Okay, but I'll look for it. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of problems that you would be doing here. Okay, so you might be asked to find the exact value. That means no decimals, no rounding off. Okay, find the exact value of cosine 75 degrees. Okay, so that's not one of the degrees that we've memorized, right? We've memorized 30, 45, and 60, right? And of course the quadrantal, 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. Okay, so what is helpful here is, here, let me go off to the side, is listing maybe the angles that you have memorized. So we have memorized 30, 45, and 60. And then, of course, all the quadrantal ones, 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360, right? Okay, so here, what you want to try to do is rewrite the 75. Okay, rewrite the 75 degrees um, using angles that you have memorized. Okay, so is there another way we can rewrite 75 degrees as a sum or a difference of these known angles here off to the side? Yes. Okay. So another way to write this problem is to say cosine of 30 degrees plus 45, right? So that's what you do. You rewrite the angle in terms of a sum or difference of two angles that you do know the cosine of, and then you use your sum and or difference formulas up here. Okay, so we're using cosine of u plus v now. Okay. All right, so cosine 30, cosine 45, minus sine 30, sine 45. Okay, and now we can simplify each of those trig functions because we have those memorized. Okay, all right, so here, over here, we get cosine of 30 degrees is square root 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 degrees is square root 2 over 2. Sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. And sine of 45 degrees is square root 2 over 2. So again, these angles here should have been memorized. Okay, like from way back in trig. And those are just the degree form of the pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. Okay, and so then here, let's go ahead and finish this. We get square root 6 over 2 minus square root 2 over 2. And it says to find the exact value, so I'm not going to punch that into my calculator. I will just leave it as square root 6 minus square root 2 all over 2. Okay, if it says exact value, just leave the radicals. Okay, all right, let's take a look at another one. Maybe this one will be a little bit easier for you because you've been working with radians. Okay, so find the exact value of sine of pi over 12. Okay, so we don't have pi over 12 memorized, right? So the ones that we do have memorized, here, I'll write them down over here. We have pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3 memorized, right? Okay, so it would be helpful, and here, let's also put the quadrantal ones. 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Okay, so it might be helpful to rewrite all of these so that they all have the same denominator. So the common denominator here for all of these would be 12. So rewriting that entire set that I just wrote with 12 as a common denominator, 2 pi over 12. Okay, 3 pi over 12, 4 pi over 12. Okay, and then the other ones down below, that's still going to be 0. 6 pi over 12 and 12 pi over 12. and 18 pi over 12 and 24 pi over 12. Okay. All right. So those are the same angles as the ones right there above above that line, except now they all have the same denominator, which will be easier for us to figure out, oh, well, which two should I use? Which two should I add or subtract in order to get pi over 12? Okay. All right. So we will go ahead and rewrite pi over 12 as the sum or difference. Okay. So sine of, okay, so here we want to get 1 pi over 12. So if we look inside here, okay, where they all have the same denominator, we can use several choices. We could do 3 pi over 12 minus 2 pi over 12, right? Or we can do 4 pi over 12 minus 3 pi over 12. Okay, so we can do those. It doesn't matter which one, you'll still get the same answer. Okay, all right, so let's just do 3 pi over 12. 3 pi over 12 minus 2 pi over 12. Okay, and we know that that is the same as pi over 4 minus pi over 6. Okay. All right, so going back to our sum and difference formulas, sine of u minus v is going to be this one right over here. So it's going to be sine cosine minus cosine sine. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so this is going to be sine of pi over 4 cosine pi over 6 minus cosine of pi over 4 sine of pi over 6. Okay, and we have those memorized. Sine of pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2. Cosine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Cosine pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2. And sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Okay. Oops, right over here. This is actually square root 3 over 2. Cosine of pi over 6 is square root 3 over 2. Scroll up. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we get square root 6 over 4 minus square root 2 over 4. And again, leave it in radical form because it's asking for the exact value, so don't do any rounding off of decimals. Okay, so our final answer here would be this. Okay. Okay, and be able to go backwards as well. Okay, so suppose that you have something like this. Find the exact value of, and you'll recognize the structure of this. So as soon as you see something written out like this, you should be thinking sum and difference formula. Sine of 42 degrees, cosine 12 degrees, minus cosine 42 degrees, sine 12 degrees. Okay, so what you do is you go back to your sum and difference formulas, and you try to see which one has this structure. And the structure fits the structure sine of u cosine v minus cosine u sine v. Okay, so when you look back at your formulas, I'll give you a second to look back. And look for the one that has the structure sine u cosine v minus cosine u sine v. And you should see that that fits this one. Okay. So it's going to fit this one. So we are going to do sine of 42 degrees minus 12 degrees. Okay. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so this is going to be sine of 30 degrees, and we do have that one memorized. That one is 1/2. Okay, so that's how you approach these problems. You'll recognize them because they have this sort of sine, cosine, cosine, sine, or some form of that. So all you have to do is match them up. Okay, all right. And then you have these type of problems where you will need to draw out the information here. Okay, so find the exact value of cosine u minus v, given that sine of u equals 5/13, cosine v equals -3/5, and both u and v are in quadrant 2. Okay, so a lot of clues here. Okay, so let's first start off with cosine of u minus v. All right, so we know that, so we're going to be using the difference formula for cosine. So cosine of u minus v. Okay, so if we look back to our formula, cosine of u minus v is cosine u cosine v plus sine u sine v. Okay, so we're going to be using this to evaluate that. We don't know what u is, we don't know what v is, so we can't do this problem the way we did the previous examples, right? We have nothing to subtract. So here, we do know sine u, so we do know this, and we do know cosine v, so we can plug in for that, okay? Cosine v is -3/5, sine u is 5/13, so we have values to plug in for that, okay? However, we don't have this, cosine u, and we don't have sine v, okay? So that's what our goal is here, to find those values, and we do that by drawing these angles out. We know that u and v are both in quadrant 2, okay? So let's go ahead and draw 2 drawings. We'll do one for u. Okay, and so here's angle u. Okay, I'll do u prime. We'll use a reference angle. Okay, and we'll also do one for v. Okay, so here's v prime. That's v prime. Okay, and let's take the information that we do know about these. We do know that the sine of u is 5/13. So sine of u is 5/13. And from there, we can get Pythagorean theorem, right? Okay. And then v, let's take a look, is a -3/5. So that's negative 3 over 5. Okay. So then here, let's go ahead and find the missing values. This one is x, and this is going to be a negative number. Okay. And then this one is y, and that one's going to be a positive number. Okay. So we can use Pythagorean here. So x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. X squared plus 25 equals 169. X squared equals 144, so x equals 12. So here it is negative 12. Okay, down here, well, we know this triangle is pretty familiar, so that's going to be a 4. Okay, but you can do it the same way. Okay, 3 squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. Okay, so we get 9 plus y squared equals 25. Y squared equals 16, so y equals 4. But you should be familiar with the 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, so from these drawings, now we can fill in for everything that we need. Okay, so let's continue with this. Cosine of u is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's negative 12 over 13. Cosine v is going to be negative 3 over 5. That was also given. Sine u is opposite over hypotenuse, so 5 over 13. And sine v is also opposite over hypotenuse, so that's 4 over 5. Okay, so we get 36 over 65 plus 20 over 65. And that gives us 56 over 65. Okay, so when you're not given u or v, you're going to have to do these drawings to get the missing cosine and sine values. Okay, all right, so that is pretty much it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or message me.